Becky Johnson there in Stratford-upon-Avon. Let's bring you up to date with our top story. More on the terror suspect Daniel Khalife, who's been caught by police in West London after 4 days on the run. This is the canal towpath that he was apprehended. We now know it was 10:41 this morning. This is Greenford in West London. He was riding a push bike and was stopped by a plainclothes officer. This happened 10:41 this morning. The search had been focused on Chiswick overnight and in the early hours until about 9 o'clock. But this is where he was apprehended. It moved west. It's Rodal Road off by the canal towpath there in Greenford in the UB5 area of West London, following a number of calls from the public. Let us hear, shall we, from Commander Dominic Murphy. He's been leading this investigation. You've seen him over the past few days. He's been speaking to our correspondent Rachel Venables about what happened in the events leading up to Daniel Khalife's arrest. Please.
Yes, we've been putting a lot of resources, as I have explained before, into trying to find Daniel Khalife. And last night we had an intelligence-led operation in the Richmond area. As a result of that operation, we had a number of calls from the public that cited Daniel Khalife in the area. We deployed to each of those calls and treated them as confirmed sightings and put quite a lot of additional resource from the Metropolitan Police and the Counter-Terrorism Command into the area. And then this morning at 10:41, he was seen by a plainclothes counter-terrorism officer and on a push bike on the canal towpath. And he was pulled off that push bike and arrested by that officer.
Was that plainclothes officer there because you had intelligence to bring you to that area? Can you talk to me about that, or was it just a lucky coincidence?
Well, we had put officers there intentionally as a direct result of the reports from the public last night and our own investigation. So that officer was part of a much larger team that was in the area. So that's just about where we were searching at the time. And
what can you tell me about the scale of this investigation? I don't know if you have numbers to hand, but just put it in context for the members of the public about how hard you've been working, the different tools at your disposal.
Well, it's been a very significant investigation for counter-terrorism, but really supported by our intelligence partners. But you wouldn't be surprised to learn that we work very closely with our intelligence partners. But for this investigation, well over 150 officers in counter-terrorism alone, but hundreds more across the Metropolitan Police. And lots of people in the West London area would have seen last night the helicopter was up and a number of other uniformed resources were supporting our effort. But then also all around the country, in every border in the country and every force in the country, we've had people responding to sightings of Daniel. So really quite amazing support from the public, the media and our colleagues all around the country.
Were you surprised that he was found still in London, that he hadn't made it further afield?
No, as I said yesterday, we were really focusing our effort in the London area still. Whilst we were considering every possible eventuality, we were still focusing our effort in London, and thanks to the calls from the public last night and our investigation, we were able to locate him today.
Have you got any information you can give us about how he was operating for those few days? You know, what he was doing for food, where he was sleeping? Do you have any picture about that at all that you can bring us?
Well, as you can imagine, he's only been in custody for a few hours and that's all part of our investigation. And this is the important thing to remember now. We will pivot all of our resources from the manhunt for Daniel Khalife into now ensuring that we conduct a full investigation into how he escaped and any further criminal charges. And anyone that might have helped him, that's still my message to people, really. If you were supporting or assisting Daniel before, during or after his escape, you will still form part of our investigation and we will find you. But as a result, we need to now focus on that part of our work, and now he's in custody.
Do you have concerns about any other prisoners, any other potential people who might be in a similar position to him, who you want to sort of reassess and check that they are being held properly in the prison system?
Well, that's a role for the Prison Service and the Ministry of Justice. Obviously, my role is to investigate and prevent acts of terrorism and ensure we disrupt terrorism here in the UK alongside our partners. So that's really a question for the Ministry of Justice.
What can you tell me about his arrest, the arrest itself? You mentioned already a plainclothes officer. He was on a bike. Did he go quite willingly? You know, what can you tell me about his sort of state?
So the plainclothes officer saw him on a push bike and, as a result, then pulled him off that push bike and arrested him. As soon as he was arrested, he was very cooperative.
And I know you wanted to thank members of the public. Can you talk about how important it has been? And also with the timing as well, 75 hours, is that a long time or actually is that quite short?
It's probably for other people to say whether they feel that's a long time or not. 75 hours is we've had a huge team during that time, really dedicating for the whole of that 75 hours their time and attention in finding Daniel Khalife, working with lots of intelligence partners. But the reality is the public are an integral part of what we do here, and it's thanks to the media's attention and the public's attention that we've been able to put the resources in the right place to find Daniel.
Could you tell me when you first got the 999 call out to Chiswick? Sky News has spoken to somebody in the Corney Road area who said they rang yesterday afternoon to say they thought they'd spotted him. I just wondered about the timings of that, if you can confirm that that was something you received or were working on at all.
Well, we've had lots of calls from lots of people in that part of London. Every one of them will be investigated clearly. But of course, all those calls from the public inform our strategy for trying to find Daniel alongside our investigation and the intelligence work we were doing.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.